Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Inside the Majors. Now, in most episodes, we focus on MEC, Major Series, or at this time of year, the Majors 24. And we will do a bit of that today, but this is certainly my first foray into the wider world of global sim racing royalty. As we have with us today, one of the most popular iRacing streamers on the planet, Mr. Basic Ollie. Now, Ollie, or Oliver Furnell, currently has over 55,000 subscribers on YouTube for his online racing channel, for which he produces content on an essentially daily basis. As we'll discuss, I'm sure, Ollie and his team have made several appearances in the Majors events over the last few years, and it looks like that may continue in 2026 with a little bit of luck with regard to the MEC. Anyway, look, it's sure to be a great chat, and one that I can't wait to have here in a minute. And I hope I can ask the sorts of questions about things that you would all want to know from such a familiar face in the iRacing world. After our chat, Mike and I will also run through the protest system that will be in use for the Majors 24 this year. It's seen a huge amount of development in 2025, and we hope that will streamline both the reporting and the decisions processes in this year's race. But there are still a few points we'd like to go through on how it works, and that's essentially what we'll do after the interview. Okay, I'm really excited about this. Let's roll the bumper and reminder of the great service that is majorsgarage.com, and then we'll crack on with Mr. Basic Ollie.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work, so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Somebody, anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
You all good there, mate?
Ollie, welcome to Inside the Majors podcast. This is something a little outside what I normally do. And to preempt a bunch of people, or what a bunch of people are thinking right now, which is, what has this got to do with the Majors Series? Can you tell us a bit about your history with the Majors Series, MEC, and the Majors 24?
Yeah, sure. I was first aware of Majors about 4 years ago, and I hadn't really heard of it before. I think it was the second season that you'd actually started running Majors 24, and I was desperately looking for like another 24-hour because we'd obviously lost Le Mans. I was looking for something else, and there wasn't that actually many 24s on the calendar. And then someone suggested me the Majors 24, and we've done the last 3 years, and now we're going to do the fourth one. We've basically loved it ever since because it's in iRacing. You don't get the live stewards and the safety cars and stuff like that, and let's just say reward for finishing the top three. Whereas in Majors, you get that, which is absolutely fantastic. I love the idea that you can have the things like safety cars and stewards and stuff like that. You don't really get that in the sim. And yeah, that's why we've loved it. We also did MEC as well. We did the last round. Again, the idea of safety cars and stewards just pulls me in every time. It's something that the sim misses. I'd like to see, not so much stewards, I don't think, but maybe some safety cars or slow zones or something like that. So yeah, it's something I really enjoy. I look forward to every year. And I have to say, channel-wise as well, it does absolute bits. Like view-wise, it is right up there at the Majors. It's got part one, I think last year got me between 20 and 30,000 views in the live stream, which is great. So I love doing it, and so do the lads. So yeah, we're looking forward to it again, to being honest.
You mentioned joining us for the final round of the MEC in 2025, which for me personally, thank you, because I run it. But how did you enjoy that experience? And what did you make of that series? Which there'll be a lot of people that are tuning into this that only come and do the Majors 24 with us. But how did you like the series that we've run off the back of the Majors 24?
I have to say, I quite enjoyed it. I am not one for hosted events. I think if you ever look at my channel and live streams and stuff like that, you never, ever really see me do anything like a league or anything hosted like that. But then I saw it as 8 hours at Spa. And then I started looking into it more with, again, safety cars and stewards and stuff. And then there was a thing like, well, you had to have a rule where if you were platinum or gold, you had to have a bronze driver in it. And that just made me more and more intrigued because I like the idea of, very much like a real life WEC or whatever, you've got to have a bronze driver at some point in it. And I like the fact that it was implemented into the sim as well. So once I looked up the rules, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll definitely give this a go. And yeah, it was quite entertaining to say the least. I'm getting Justin in there as a bronze driver to do his minimum driver time, trying to calculate what we had to do. There's a lot more strategy involved. It wasn't just get your two fastest guys in and then get the slowest guy to do the minimum amount or whatever. There was quite a bit to it, and it was quite a lot of fun, especially with the changing conditions as well. So a very enjoyable race, and again, something that I think people on the live stream do enjoy. I think people love tuning into races where there is a chance for the safety car, because as soon as there's a big crash, you just see the live stream just absolutely spammed with safety car, safety car, safety car, question, question, question. And everyone's going, why isn't there a safety car? There should be a safety car. And it just, chat are way more involved in it. I think it's a lot better. But yeah, I thought it was great. Only disappointment was the fact there was no LMP2, but there are rumours that there's going to be an LMP2 next season. So I shall keep an eye on that. But mind you, the LMP2 might be absolutely dead by then. I've got no idea.
Look, I've heard it from somebody who should know about what's going to be included in the series next year. And I reckon that there's probably a pretty good chance that LMP2 might be in there. I think I've got it on pretty good authority that there'll be LMP2 in the 2026 MEC. So hopefully that means that we might get to see you and your team back again for LMP2. Is that something that...
I would like to. What I will say is, because we're doing the Majors 24 this weekend in the GTP, I don't know, like, either way I'm going to do it. I'm going to see if I can get myself interested in the GTPs again. I don't know why, but I think I'm just scared for the LMP2. I think it's just getting worse and worse, the LMP2, with participation levels and just the way the car is at the moment. It just seems to be getting worse and worse. And until we get the new LMP2, which I think is in 2027, that they're developing, I think the LMP2 is going to slow down off. But yeah, I mean, my preference for now would absolutely be LMP2. But we'll see. If there's not an LMP2, I'll maybe go GTP. But for now, I'll probably go LMP2. But we'll see. We'll see what the state of the car is. It'll probably be like season 1, won't it? 2026, I imagine. So a couple more updates out there. So we'll see where it is then.
Yeah, and the new LMP2 in the real world, at least, coming in 2027, and I would assume that iRacing will follow suit. Central seating position for a prototype, which will be very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Like, very McLaren F1-esque, isn't it?
Yes.
Sat right in the centre. So that'll be cool. I have to say, it makes sense, doesn't it? There's no point really if it's a race car and you've only got one seat. Why put it to the left or right? Just plonk it straight in the middle, doesn't it? It makes sense.
Yeah, and we might actually be able to see out of the bloody thing for once, instead of having that huge pillar on your left-hand side. That means you run into people that you never knew were there.
Yeah, exactly. And you won't have the Brits saying it's on the wrong side, or the Americans say it should be on this side. There's no complaints. It's just slap bang in the middle. You can't complain about it.
It's got to do with bad geography. Audi had it right. Put the driver on the right-hand side to make the driver changes at Le Mans easier. Perfect sense.
There you go.
A lot of what I've said so far was assuming that people knew exactly who you were. And look, to be honest, and you don't have to be bashful about this, most people, or almost everybody listening to this podcast, will know exactly who you are. But I'm sure that they are actually keen to hear about your life as a sim racing streamer. It looks like an awesome world and an awesome role to have. But, in reality, creating the content that you do, which is essentially on a daily basis, what's the real day in the life of Basic Ollie look like?
Wake up, panic, purely because the YouTube algorithm will say you're expected to earn this much. Because sometimes, you're, as a YouTuber, it's a bit of a panic, especially a sim racing one, because it's like having your own business. At the start of every month, it says your YouTube earnings are 0. So a lot of the time, at the start, the first 2-3 weeks of the month, it's very much, am I going to do as well as the last month? It doesn't matter that I've been doing it full time for 2.5 years. It's, will people still want to watch? Will still people want to be here and supporting? Will they still be there? So the first 2-3 weeks are a little bit, I suppose, like if you're owning your own business or whatever, it's a little bit of panic. And then the last week or week and a half, you're a bit more relaxed. And I'll be honest with you as well, months where there are 24-hour events like the majors or Never in 24 Hour, you're a little bit more relaxed as well, because you're going to get the views, and financially it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. But life as a full-time sim racer or a streamer is it is good fun, but there's a lot of stuff in the background that kind of makes you panic a little bit. But that's just the nature of the beast. That's what it's just like being a full-time YouTuber, I think. And just relying on streams rather than videos is different as well. For being a streamer, I'd say I'm more streamer than video recorder or whatever. Yeah, it's mentally, it's quite tough. It's tougher than people think, I'd say.
I think quite often people on the outside think that streamers, popular streamers like yourself, must be raking the cash in. And look, I'm not going to ask for you to turn over bank statements or anything like that, but what's the reality of the situation for somebody like yourself? You've just outlined there that it's a real concern. Like,
for sure. I can give you an example. When I did the subathon, in those 3 months, I earned as much as I would in the previous 6 months. So it was like a month's worth was like 2 months. It was very good. But then the next month, I had earned the lowest amount of money I've ever earned ever since going full time. That's how much it fluctuates. It's remarkable. I went from doing a subathon where I had 2,500 members on YouTube and 1,000 on Twitch to 800 on YouTube and 200 on Twitch. It's so up and down. It's unbelievable. Yeah, you've got to keep working hard and thinking of ideas like the subathon, and I'll be thinking of other things to potentially try and maybe increase those members again or whatnot. But fluctuation wise, in terms of finances, it's an absolute headache because you can go 3 months during that subathon where I'm thinking, this is the most money I've ever earned. This is fantastic. This is great. As soon as you finish that subathon, all of a sudden you think, do I start another one? Do I do another one? Do I do another subathon? But yeah, that's what it's like. It's such a head game. You're constantly questioning yourself. Are you doing the right thing? What content can I make? What can make me stand out? What's my unique selling point and stuff like that? So it is a real head game. Don't get me wrong. It's way better than having your usual 9 to 5. I'm not going to argue that whatsoever. But yeah, it is such a head game sometimes. And it's so tough to just keep doing what you're doing and not just go, do you know what? I'm just going to do your regular 9 to 5. I'm going to sod this off. I'm going to have a 9 to 5. I'm going to have weekends off. I'm going to have annual leave and sick days or whatever. And it just sounds easier then all of a sudden. But then you've got to take a step back and say, mate, come on. You play racing games for a living. Don't be a dick. You know what I mean? Just, it's one of those. Like I probably ramble on a bit too much, but our life as a sim racer, full-time sim racing YouTuber is very good. But at the same time, it is really draining. So yeah, it's a real mixture and you've got to get it right. And I'm still learning. I've been doing it for over 2 years, but yeah, I'm still learning. I'm trying to get the right balance, but we'll get there.
I'm going to jump past a few things that I'll go back to in a minute, but you mentioned the subathon just there now. I want to ask, and I'm so intrigued to hear as much as you're willing to share about the subathon. What was the catalyst for it? And run us through what it was supposed to be and what it morphed into and some of the crazy shit that went down along the way. And what was the end result for you physically and mentally from some of the stuff that went on in that?
It was good fun. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It was good fun. So the whole idea, the start of the subathon was like, I've been full-time on YouTube for 2 years. It was Jack in January, right? So how do I celebrate it? So I've never really done a subathon. Let's just see how it goes. Because you don't want to say, hey guys, I'm doing a subathon to celebrate 2 years being full-time. Every 10 gifted members, whatever, is an hour. And then you get like 20, 30 gifted and then you're live for 3 hours and then you turn it off. It's a little bit like, you don't want to do that. So I started, I was like, 5 gifted for an hour. So I was like, that's fine. And then that very quickly got to 6 hours. And I was like, okay, let's increase it to 10. And then it got to 12 hours still. And then I increased it to 20. And it just kept going and going. We got up to 50, 60 hours. I was doing bedtime. I was doing streams while I was asleep. I was flying to Daytona. I was doing 8-hour flights to Daytona. And then I did an 8-hour flight back. And it got to the point where people thought it was funny if I just did the flight sim, like I did an 8 hours flight. And they all at the end, everyone just goes bang right at the end. And all of a sudden that 8 hours was for nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. Like financially, it's like, yes, a mega. But at the end of the day, you think I've just done 8 hours of streaming and it meant nothing. Like it didn't get the timer down at all. Like you are locked in. You have to stream every single day. And it's very much a head game of, yes, I've streamed for 8 hours, got 8 hours off the clock. But then I also think to yourself, I've streamed for 8 hours and I haven't earned anything. So it's such a mind game because you see the money getting donated, but you never see the money until the end of the month or a month in advance. But yeah, the subathon was crazy. I didn't expect it to last as long as it did. I thought it'd be like, I don't know, a week. I think they did 70 something days, over 400 hours, I think, which is absolutely crazy. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. But there were moments, don't get me wrong, where we was like, what on earth can we do? What can we actually do? Even my missus sat me down at one point and goes, we're going on holiday soon. You need to end this. Like, you need to do something. I was like, I don't know what to do. But eventually we got it because we did I did a 2 hour and 40-minute race at 7 a.m. at Imola. And yeah, there was a plan to suddenly get a massive donation at the end to keep me going, but said person fell asleep. So I got away with it and I was shocked. But yeah, the subathon was a lot of fun, very draining. You're locked in. You can't go anywhere. It's always on your mind. You're like, I have to stream today. It doesn't matter what it is or what I'm doing. I have to stream, have to do something, which to be fair, I enjoyed the challenge. But yeah, it was absolutely, at the end of it, at the end of it, I had the next day off and I was just lost, mate. I was just like, what do I do? What do you mean I don't have to stream? I had a weekend off. I was just like sat there. What do I do? It was so bizarre. And then thankfully I had a party at Josh's to go to, but yeah, that was it, mate. So the subathon it was something. Let's just put it there. It was something.
It sounds like there might have been a bit of Stockholm syndrome going on there at the end. You've been doing it for so long, you didn't know what to do without it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And in a weird kind of way, it was almost damaging to the channel in terms of I just wasn't gaining any subscribers because people were just like, he's just doing the same thing every single day. So there wasn't like an appeal to it. It was, I don't know, it was very difficult to get new people and subscribers in. And as soon as I stopped and started making videos again, the subscribers started to go back up again. Subathon was actually really tough to get subscribers. And you'd think it'd be the opposite. You'd think you'd get like loads of people in, but I think just because it was just the same stuff for the sake of doing it and you had to do it, that, yeah, it didn't really work. But as soon as I stopped subscriber wise, it was better. But yeah, I'm in no rush to do it again. The amount of people that ask me to do it again is quite funny, but I think it will be a yearly thing. I think I'll just do it every year to celebrate being an extra year full time. So we'll do it again at the start of next year. But for now, yeah, we'll leave it where it is.
So, so subathon aside, what is it that you think, or what is it to your mind that appeals to such a large audience? What is it that you're putting out there that you think attracts a large supporter base?
I think so. When I tried to look at when I went full time, I tried to look at this almost like I tried to be sensible. I was like, if I go full time, I was like, what's my USP? What is my unique selling point? I was like, I don't think personally, I could be completely wrong here, but I didn't think there was like a sim racing channel where there was a racing team that was just relaxed, enjoyed it, was a lot of fun, was very relatable, and could talk to chat and just have fun and do all these endurance races and special events and just do it every weekend. And I thought that could be my unique selling point. That could be the thing that people will like. Because if it's at the weekend and I'm not doing an endurance race or something, then maybe you should call the police or something because there must be something seriously wrong. It was just, I was doing a lot of endurance races with Josh and stuff and then expanded a little bit. We got Tomo in, we got Buzz in, we got a few other people in. And I think people just really like the kind of atmosphere, knowing that we're going to be doing a long race at the weekend, that anything can happen, who are we racing with, what we racing in, what's the team, and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe I could be completely wrong, but I don't really feel like on YouTube or Twitch, there's not like almost like a guaranteed of just a channel with a bunch of mates that are going to be doing an endurance race every weekend. I think there'll be like your esports team and stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't think there's a massive amount. Maybe that's a little bit of ignorant of me. I don't know. But I felt like we just filled a nice hole where people were there's just something missing where you could just tune in every weekend and have a laugh and just enjoy the races. But at the same time, be quite competitive. I think there was a gap in the market and I think we filled it. Yeah, that's essentially what the channel is really. Just endurance racing and having fun with your mates at the weekend, really.
Now, often you're driving and engaging with the viewers at the same time. How does that impact on your racing and how do you maintain a balance of focusing on the racing and also focusing on your audience?
I'll be honest with you, I've been doing it for so long. If I don't race with some sort of chat, I am looking up at my top screen anyways, as if there is a chat there in the first place. It's like I can't, if I'm like, I did some majors practice yesterday and I was doing it with Tomo, and it's very rare for me to actually go on the iRace and whatever without actually streaming. And I was doing some practice and without even knowing, I just every like 30, 40 seconds, I'd look up at the top screen where I'd have chat. It's so embedded into me to check it on like straights or whatever to see what people are saying and trying to interact with people at the same time. I can't help myself, but look, I can't help it. But even when I'm not streaming, I'm still doing it. I'm still looking up. And I've just got so used to just talking to people. And I've done so many races in iRacing now. I've just figured out when's the best time to talk to people, like on certain straights or certain corners, whatever, where I don't need to be 100% concentrated on the screen. I've just got used to it. And to be honest with you, I love talking to chat. I feel like back in the day, finding people that were passionate about sim racing or racing in general was so tough. If you found someone who was wearing an F1 top, you go, oh, that's someone wearing an F1 top. They like motorsport as well. Whereas I feel like online now, there's just tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people that just absolutely love it. So I think being able to talk to people whilst I'm racing about the thing that I love doing is the best part. I love talking to people about the race. If people ask me about what's the strat or the tires or anything like that, or what you're going to do, I love it. I absolutely love it. I always try and answer it because I just love doing it. And I love the fact that people love watching as well. It's so much fun. And yeah, just doing something that you really love doing and having people talk to you about it as well. It's just amazing. Just think of something that you really enjoy doing. And then imagine there are like, I don't know, a couple hundred people watch you, cheering you on and asking you questions about it whilst you're doing it. It's awesome. Yeah. Wouldn't change it. It's great.
It does sound amazing, but do you cop it when you make mistakes as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I haven't made that many when I'm reading chat, but when you mess up, you just got to hold your hands up. You've absolutely just got to say, yeah, that was my fault. I was reading chat. I think there's one or two times where I've accidentally checked the chat at the worst time, ended up going to the back of someone in the formation app or something, spinning them out. And then you just look like an absolute muppet. But it happens, man. I think everybody does it. It happens at some point. It's going to happen. You're trying to interact with loads of people on stream whilst racing. So you're going to make mistakes. It's fine. Just as long as you know you're going to make mistakes and just admit it when you do. The worst thing is just to try and ignore it as if, I don't know, if you just try and ignore it and just not take the blame, then it's pretty obvious. So yeah, just accept it. It's fine. Everyone, we all make mistakes. It's fine.
Now we all do pretend car racing here, most of us, because real world racing isn't an option for money, spouses, ability, talent, all those sorts of things. Have you done any real world racing before the sim stuff that you've done, and post the sim streaming that you've done? Has that opened up any avenues for you to do any real world racing because of your notoriety in the sim racing world?
No, so before sim racing, I think just like anybody else, I've always wanted to do it, but I've never actually been able to do it financially at all, not been able to commit to it at all. It's just real life racing is insanely expensive and it's only going to get worse. But no, I didn't. But ever since I went full time on YouTube, and I'll be honest with you, financially, it's definitely been the best position I've ever been in my life. And that's why I've been able to afford it. I'm not like the size of, just say, Jimmy or Steve, whatever. I don't have the luxury of sponsors. If I want to go do some real life racing, I've got to pay for it myself. I've got to pay for it full time. And that's why we did the 24-hour races last year. We did 6 24-hour races or 7 24-hour races in the space of 10 weeks or something to raise money to do real life racing. And that was just to race in some 70 horsepower KAs. And that cost an awful lot of money. I think it cost about £10,000 to do about 6 rounds. And that's insane. That is a lot of money. And no, I hadn't thought about it purely because I had no chance of affording it. But now I'm able to do these things where you can raise funds where me and Josh can both go racing. It's the best thing in the world. Real life racing is incredible. That's probably why we do sim racing, right? Because we can't go and do the real thing because it's too expensive. If we could all afford to go out and do the real life racing, we would be doing it, right? Yeah, the sim racing is the reason I think that I could afford to do the real life racing stuff. And if I could do more real life racing stuff, I would. And we've got a race actually in 3 weeks where we can do some real life racing as well. I'm looking forward to doing that. But no, didn't do it before, but thankfully now I'm in a position financially where I can do it, and I am doing it because I love it.
Which one gives you more appreciation for the other? When you're doing real world racing, does it relate more to the sim racing stuff you've done? Or do you find the sim racing stuff that you've done actually helps you relate to the real world racing stuff that you're now doing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, they have obviously massive similarities. I can tell you this right now. If I didn't do the sim racing, I wouldn't be anywhere near as competitive in the real life stuff. There's no way I could have got the results I did in the real life racing without doing the sim racing stuff. Everyone, I feel like, I know it sounds strange, but I feel like if you genuinely are good at sim racing, you will be good at real life racing as well. It is the same. Yes, it's a lot scarier. Yes, there's a lot more feeling, but a breaking point's a breaking point. An apex is an apex. You turn it, if you turn in the right time, you turned in the right time. You know what racecraft is. You know how to start a race. You can do it. You absolutely can do it. And starting in sim racing is definitely a really good way to go before you do the real life stuff. And there are similarities to it. There are very much similarities to it. Same way where you do like in iRacing and you think, how's this person faster than me? Because they got a different setup. In real life racing as well. We found it a lot with the KAs. How are they faster than me? What are they doing? What's different? It's the same sort of thing. I know it sounds absolutely bizarre, but it's true. iRacing setup is set up on a certain track at Daytona could be quicker. Their car could be quicker or someone could be quicker just because of setup. And it's the same in real life as well. That's the kind of little things you can pick up. But I said it in my first ever race. Like, if sim races, if it could be affordable, should be doing real life racing because they're bloody good at it and they should be doing it.
Whilst a breaking point might be a breaking point, unfortunately, a kilo in sim racing isn't a kilo in real world racing. So that's one restriction that I've got
Oh,
to doing real
mate,
world racing.
you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. Even when the KAs, I go in there, I'll go in the race, I'll be like, yes, lightest I've ever been, 87 kilos. And then you got matey next door who's used to do karting as a kid and he's 70 kilos. And you're like, what? Like, he's 17 kilos. And to put that into perspective, he's doing he's doing a whole race with half a tank less of fuel. Because like a full tank is going to be like 30 kilos. And this guy weighs 17 kilos less than me. So he's already got an advantage of half a tank less of fuel, essentially. That's the way you got to look at it. You don't have to worry about that so much in the sim because weight's not a thing. It is when you get in, it doesn't make a difference to the car. But real life racing, that is where it's a bit of a pain in the buttocks, is weight. But if you get people from 70 kilos to 110, it makes a massive amount of difference. We've had people that get in the car who end up doing like 15 to 20 minutes less on a full tank because they weigh an extra 30 kilo on the previous guy. And that is crazy. That's wild to think that's how it works, but it's genuinely true. It makes a big difference.
People have seen you because you do video streaming. I only do audio podcasts for a reason. And if you had seen me, you would know that I'm carrying many tanks of fuel. Anyway, look, since we're talking real world racing, let's get off that topic of Garren's weight. You got to attend Le Mans this year as a spectator. Now, I have watched Le Mans my entire life, which is longer than your life, I can promise you. And I have been yearning to get there for years and years, even though I live half a world away. And I will make that happen at some point, but I am super jealous of what you have just experienced. So tell us, what did you get to take in? What were your highlights? Tell us about Le Mans, the event, from what you got to experience.
Okay. The event itself is it's historic, isn't it? It's pretty damn cool to be there, to experience it, to see the cars, feel the cars, to actually be at the track. We could do a track walk. It really kind of gives you an idea of how long the track is. It's incredible. And how bumpy some of the curbs are and how big some of the curbs are and how the cars manage to absorb it at such a speed is remarkable. You'll find that, I think, if you ever look around the track in real life or you go around the track in real life in the car, like the curbs are so much deadlier than what they are in sim. But yeah, going around the track, walking it, seeing it was pretty special. It's definitely one to tick off the old bucket list, that's for sure. It took ages to get there, took ages to get home. But am I glad I did it? Yes, absolutely, for sure. There's no doubt about it. I'm glad I did it.
In terms of the 24 hours, how much of it did you actually get to take in?
Oh, sod all. I'll be honest. This is my only pet peeve is because it's one of those strange ones where you go all the way there, but it's quite difficult to keep an eye on the actual race itself. I know that might sound strange, but we sat at the Porsche curves and the TV screen that they always have a screen like they do at F1 races or whatever, it's far away, but you can see generally what's going on action wise, but you can't actually see so much of the standings, whatever. So once the cars have gone round for an hour or two around the Porsche curves, you've basically seen the same thing for like the last 2 hours. You're like, so what do I do now? Do I go to another corner? Do I find another TV? Do I do this? Because when it gets to about 2 hours in, you've lost what's going on in the race, which might sound strange. But because the standings are so far away and you've got no phone signal because there's so many people there, you can't keep an eye on what's actually going on in the race. So there could be teams that are pitting and you don't really know why. And then you're all of a sudden trying to check your phone, see what's going on, and you can't quite load it because there's no signal. And then some people have a radio and all that kind of stuff, so they'll be able to tell you. But as much as I enjoyed it, I genuinely, I'll get battered for this. I'm sure I will. If you actually want to watch a race, don't go there. And I know that sounds bizarre. I know it sounds strange, massively bizarre. But Le Mans is more like a festival of like motorsport. You watch the race for a few hours and then you go to all the fan zones and you see all the cars and loads of different things. There's the McLaren reveal, all sorts of stuff. There's loads of stuff going on. There's a music festival going on at the same time. But if you actually want to sit down, watch the race, be very articulate with what's going on and who's in the pit stops and stuff, I don't think you can do it. I know that sounds bizarre, but from my experience, I don't think you can actually do it. I think there's actually better tracks out there for that. But yeah, that's my take from it. I enjoyed it, but a little bit disappointed at the same time.
In that respect, people in my sim racing team have been to the Daytona 24, which is a completely different experience that they give because there's places that you can sit in the grandstand where you can essentially see everything at the Daytona
Yes.
24, which probably gives a much easier way or much easier perspective to be able to see everything that's going on and know what's going on. Plus, they also have 437 safety cars during the Daytona 24 rather than one, which was the case in Le Mans this year, which gives you a chance to understand where people are, a bit of a reset, and then you kind of restart again. And so then you can start following exactly what's going on again from that perspective. The big endurance race for the year that I've managed to get to was the Bathurst 12 hour. And there was a little bit of that this year as well. The last 5 hours or so of that race also went safety car free. And we knew what was going on as far as the absolute lead of the race was going on. But, some of the subclasses and whatever else, you kind of lose it because they're all so spread out or all jumbled up. And so you don't really know what's going on.
And that's exactly what it's like when you go to the. I did Daytona at the start of the year, 24 hour, and I'll be honest with you, I actually prefer Daytona purely because I just don't think there's any sort of racetrack in the world where you can literally go to the top of the grandstand and see every single corner. And if you're struggling to see what's actually going on, you can literally go down a couple of steps, walk inside 10 steps, and there's just TVs everywhere. And there's just the actions right there. So there's no excuses to be able to keep up to date with what's going on because you can just see everything, whether you're in a grandstand or there's just TVs everywhere. There were TVs going into the toilets and out of the toilets. I've never seen that. That's wild to me. Let's just have a TV as we're going to go to the toilet and let's put a TV outside for when you're finished. I actually prefer Daytona to Le Mans, which again not many people might agree with me on that one, but I actually did prefer it. I thought Daytona was better, but that's just my opinion.
I'm glad they only had screens on the way in and the way out because they actually had iPads above the urinals or whatever else, and God knows what people might get up to in an attempt to try and sound professional, which that certainly wasn't. Bring us full circle. This weekend is the Majors 24 race. How's the practice been going for you this week? I said you'd been on doing some testing already, but how's it been going? And what are the goals for you and the team this race? Is it to make top split? Is it just to get through? Is it to produce good content? What does this weekend mean for you?
Good question. For me, for me personally, I just want to. I just want a good race, but generally just want a good race because the last 2-3 years for us haven't been too kind. I think year 1 we were in the lead and then we got meatballed. Year 2, I think we ended up getting P3, and then year 3 again we're in the lead and got meatballed. So we're just desperate to get that first kind of win. So that's our objective. We want to be competitive. We want to win. That's for sure. And we've just been doing some prep. We've tried several different cars, but we tried different GTPs, and we decided to go into GTP because we actually think at Lemons it is the best car. But we've done lots of different practice, and I think for me and the guys that are going to be running it, I think we want to have a good result. That is our number one goal because we felt like we've had really good pace every year, but we've just never managed to capitalize on it. So this year we're going to be doing our best. We're going to do lots of practice. Tomo's done loads. I've done a fair bit, and Josh will do some practice as well. We're really looking forward to it. And I'm hoping the skies are kind to us, but I don't think they're going to be.
There'll definitely be something falling from them at various points, whether it's cats and dogs, that we have to wait to see. Now, we'll be taking part in the Team Stream part of the broadcast. Now, for people that don't know what Team Stream is, check out the Majors 24 announcements channel in the Discord that will explain what Team Stream is. But it's where we're going to get to hear from some of the teams in the broadcast splits live as they're going on. So is that something that your team might consider being part of?
I can't see why not. Normally we're in the BRT Discord because we normally have 4 or 5 people join us. We'll have like spotters and stuff like that, kind of just give us an idea of what we're doing and where the strategy is and stuff like that. Normally we're in the BRT Discord, but I can't see why not. We can just, as long as there's like a voice channel option for BRT in the major side of the Discord and whatnot, then why not? We're basically the same. We just did a different Discord. Yeah, I think we'd be up for that.
Last question from me. With the major series being an eclectic series, something which goes all over the place with different cars and tracks and series or events, is that something you would ever consider being a part of for a year, just to give it a try and do something different and maybe have a special series of streams or something from the major series that you could try and do something on the back of?
Yeah. To be fair, I'm up for anything really. Like I said, you don't really see me doing hosted stuff, but I did the majors the first time. and I absolutely loved it. And I did the last round of the MEC, and I absolutely loved it as well. So there's definitely some things I'd want to do, like the next MEC season. I'd definitely sign myself up for that. And if there's anything like that again later on in the year or whatnot, where there's some safety cars and stewards and stuff, some endurance racing, I'll be well up for it. That's for sure. If there's an endurance race, and myself and BRT will want to be there.
The MEC special event in September, I think will be right up your alley. We rode Atlanta 2 weeks before the official Petit Le Mans iRacing, so it'd be a great run out, I think, for anybody that wants to get a bit of a feel for their team, their setups, the track, the event prior to the official Petit Le Mans. So keep an eye out on the Discord for some more information and some registration information around that MEC special event in September later this year. Look, Ollie, it's been such a pleasure talking with you. It's certainly humbling to be interviewing and talking with somebody who is certainly a lot better at this profession than I am. I'm doing what I can, but it's nice to get some time with somebody that actually knows what they're doing. Look, I hope you have a great Majors 24 event and race this weekend. I'm sure you being a part of it is going to bring plenty of extra interest, which we're certainly thankful for as well. And look, we can't wait to have you in the MEC, hopefully for the special event in September and then also in 2026. And thanks very much for coming and having a chat with us today on Inside the Majors.
You're more than welcome. If you ever want me to do it again, just send me a message and I think I'll be well up for it.
Awesome. And okay, the people that are listening in, you have 1 minute to post something that you can ask of Ollie and I'll add it in, which I normally don't do, but just because it's...
Yeah, I answer questions all day on streams, all day.
I know you do.
If they think of a question I haven't answered on stream before, then
and of course, Corlin's the first one in. Of course he bloody is. Yeah.
When are you going to stop avoiding me and drive with me? When you get good, Corbin, I might consider it.
So we've got 30 seconds left for people that are sending questions. Here they come. Thoughts on the carnage if rain arrives?
I'm looking forward to it, but I think this is where people are going to have to be a little bit more tactical, I think, maybe with their strategies about when the rain arrives. You're really going to have to think about it. And I think it's going to make it interesting, the fact that let's just say you've got 2.5, 3 minutes damage. It might be best to try and serve that damage when it's raining because you don't lose as much time because the lap times are slower, or serve it under safety car. I don't know if it'll get to a point where the rain's quite bad and then the safety car's kind of forced to come out. I don't know if that's the kind of thing you're going to be planning or anything like that. I don't know. So we'll have to see because I don't know how bad the rain's going to get. But I'm looking forward to it, that's for sure. And it will be chaotic, let's be honest. It is going to be. But I think it'll be a lot of fun at the same time as well. I pray for you all. I hope you all get through it because, we're going to need the iRacing gods to be shining down on us, I think, during this 24-hour event. But it'll be a fun one. It will be a fun one. Just survive and you'll be fine.
Yeah, speaking about the rain, obviously, it's going to be a timeline. It's not going to be a realistic weather thing, which is a new thing for majors to be doing. Some people have said, why don't you give us the timeline now? Some people have said that that's not great because then even if it's held until the second that the server opens, then people will then be able to plan exactly when the rain's going to come and stop and all that sort of stuff. What's your thoughts on having a timeline rather than realistic weather?
I kind of like it because I think being able to customize it and make it do what you want it to do is quite fun at the same time. And I kind of like the idea of going till the day, really, because I feel like if you find out early enough, then people very much look at that and try and strategize and try and not take advantage, but they will take that into their strategy and try and figure out. Whereas in real life racing, you can't really do that. You don't really know until the day. You'll get a vague idea, but it's not like a guarantee, is it? What's going to happen with the weather? So in real life racing, you've got to react to the weather and what it does. And it's not very realistic if you know exactly what the weather's going to do at the exact moment, exact time, a week in advance. So I like it. I do like the timeline thing. And I think it will be a good fun. And I don't really feel like on iRacing, you don't really, in 24-hour periods, I find it's very much like a dry, rain, dry. And then that's it. That's all it does. So if the timeline is going to be like cloudy, heavy rain, no rain, heavy rain, no rain, no rain, light rain, no rain. I like that. It mixes it up. It's a little bit different. And, I don't think it's anything we've got really on the sim right now, where it's just a real mixture. I really like that. So I am looking forward to it. I did hear, are you doing some sort of type up today to give a general idea of what it's going to be like? Not obviously exact details, but wasn't there going to be type up, or have I misunderstood that completely?
I can neither confirm nor deny that there were no. Yes, there will be some weather information released by Mike today. Look, I have no idea what it's going to be. I have not seen the timeline. I have no influence on the timeline. I've not had any discussions with Mike about the timeline. Yes, I am heavily involved with the MEC. Yes, I'm heavily involved with the Major Series generally. The Majors 24 is the one race a year where I get to turn that off and become just a driver. Mike doesn't tell me shit. So I don't know anything more than anybody else. I can promise you that. So I'm looking forward to whatever's released today, just like everybody else. Look, I'm sure it's not going to be the full timeline, but there'll be some information and some details around it, which will hopefully appease the people that want to know every second of every sessions with what the temperature's going to be, what the weather's going to be, what direction the wind's going, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I'm not good enough for that to make any difference for me, but some people like that. Okay. Murray has asked thoughts on the new spray model, especially the visibility being difficult. What do you think about that?
To be honest with you, it can't be any more difficult than when it first came in the 12 hour, if anybody actually remembers that race. That was the start of that was the worst I'd ever seen. You couldn't see corners. You couldn't see anybody around you. It was horrific. And it's a lot better than what it was back then. So I think it's okay. It's nowhere near as strong at low speed now. So I think it's going to be better. I think, and let's be honest, I think at Le Mans as well, it's a lot of straights. It's a lot of straights. So I think we're generally going to be okay visibility wise. I think what's really going to catch us out is not so much the spray. It's going to be where it's really difficult. Like going into Indy, the corner before Indy, it's a little bit of a struggle already. You get on the brakes, but going to the inside of that, there's a puddle there. I think that is going to be a much bigger concern, I think, is actually where the puddles are and where the grip is on the actual corners, because all the cars are going to be running really low downforce, hardly any wing. And then as soon as you add a bit of rain to it, it's going to be really tough. So I think visibility is not actually a concern of mine. I think that'll be fine. I actually think it's more actually the rain itself, and not actually dying is more of a concern, to be honest.
My personal opinion is that the puddle on the way into Indianapolis is fine. It's the wall that it sends you into that's the problem.
Yes, there's a Clarkson famous said, it's the suddenly stopping that kills you, and that is exactly what could happen to you at the weekend as well. Yes, watch out for that.
It will turn your sports car into a pile of toothpicks. Okay,
Exactly.
here we go. One more. If you had to drive only one car for the rest of your sim racing career, why is it the LMP2?
No battery. So it's just pure. It's engine. It's just you and the machine. It's nothing to do with battery, about engine management, or should I be in a certain deploy mode, or especially when they're going to update the battery in the GTPs. You know, what settings should I be in to get the most out of the battery and the fuel? There's none of that. It's literally just your car, you and the car and the engine, and that's it. And you don't have to worry about anything else. And you've got a lovely bit of amount of downforce, a good amount of power as well. For me, the LMP2 is essentially the perfect car. But yeah, it would. I have to say, it would be the LMP2. But I'd love it if they just gave me the revs back. Maxing it 8,000 revs. It is pure pain, mate. Give it back. It's 8,400 revs. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right. It's very limiting. Please give us back our 8,400 revs. But that's not an iRacing issue. That's I think an IMSA and WEC issue, because that's what they do. They are limited. They're not as quick as what they used to be. They are limited to 8,000 revs IRL, I think. So yeah, until they change it IRL, we're going to be stuck with it. But if I had the choice, it would be the LMP2, but the unrestricted one, I think, because unrestricted, I do think they're as fast as a GTP or a hypercar, I do believe, unless someone wants to correct me on that. But unrestricted, they are just as quick.
And the person that asked that question, you know that you now have 24 hours of listening to me telling you why the real answer to that question is actually the Porsche 919. Okay, I think that's it from the floor, which we don't normally do anyway. But look, thank you for doing that, Ollie, for answering some of the questions from the floor. And yeah, look, again, thanks for giving up some of your time today to have a chat with us here. Look, on a personal level, the content you put out is always very entertaining. Love watching it. Somebody that doesn't have the talent or the ability that I'd like to think that I have from either an iRacing or a broadcasting perspective or streaming perspective. It's nice to see somebody that does have the talent in both those areas making the best of it. Yeah, congratulations on what you've done and what you keep doing. And I wish you every success. And like I said earlier, a great Majors 24 this weekend. And look forward to having you in the Majors again in various guises in the future.
Yeah, thank you, mate. And thanks for inviting me on. And best of luck for you this weekend as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, joining me now, I have Mr. Zeus the god of weather himself, our El Presidente, Mike. Mike, how are you? Getting closer to the race now. It's been an interesting race week already.
Yep, busy. It's heating up, and we got, 3 days to go? So, yeah, it's been good.
For anybody that didn't listen to the last podcast where we went through a general frequently asked questions and information around the Majors 24, if you haven't heard that one, and especially if you're new to the Majors 24 this year, I'd recommend going back and having a listen to the last podcast, which had a lot of information in it. But one thing that we didn't discuss in the last podcast was the new for 2025 protest system. It's been developed during the year using the Majors Endurance Championship as a bit of a testbed. But Mike, thought it'd be a good idea for you to give the teams a rundown of how the protest system is going to work, especially because it will be new for everybody.
Yeah. I can go high level, and then we can dig into specific questions you think people might have. But yes, so the protest system, to be completely frank, has been one of the weak points of the event in the last few years. Not for lack of trying, but we've utilized Discord and things like that to try to rein it in. And it honestly just gets so unruly that we end up hours and hours behind on the protests, and we end up with just protests that are so worthless and not worth our time and keeps us from ruling on important ones, that it ends to frustration for all. And that's not good. We don't want that. So we set out to really improve the system this year. And as you said, we've been able to test it in MEC, and it's gone really well. That's the backstory. But what exactly is the process? It's an online web-based protest system that you'll access through the Major Series website. Anybody who on race day wishes to file a protest will go to the Major Series website, and I would recommend that all teams have at least one representative on this page at all times, but you guys handle it how you want to. But you go to the Major Series website, you click on the results drop down, and you'll find a link to M24 protests. You click on that, and you'll come to the protest output page, which will show you any current protests that are open, any protests that have been reviewed, and any protests that have been closed. You can sort those by your own split. You can sort those by your own team. In case you're not caught up on where those things might be, it's easy to sort it. If you need to submit a protest, there's a button right at the top, file a protest, at which point you'll indicate, as you have in the past, what went wrong, by whom, and how you saw it. You'll need to submit a video file, whether that's through YouTube or Twitch or Streamable or whatever. You'll need to submit a video with your protest, and you'll submit it. And then it'll show up on the protest output page, at which point it'll be in the open section. And at the point that one of our race control members picks it up and starts to review it, you'll be able to see that in real time. You'll also be alerted via the Majors website via notification that your team has been protested, should that happen, so that you can come in quickly to see what the protest is and appeal if necessary, or understand the penalty that might be coming your way. Once the protest has been logged into the system, you'll be able to track it throughout. You'll be able to respond to it as well. If you are either the protester or the protestee, you'll also see the responses from race control right in every single protest. And like I said, you can filter it by your own team or your own split, etc. Make it real easy to find them. Once a protest has gone through its paces, a penalty has been issued or not, then the team, if there is a penalty assessed, the protestee team can file an appeal if they so desire. We'll rule on that. And then once that's all gone through its paces, we close it out. Now, one of the nice things about the system this year as opposed to the past is that there is no opportunity for anybody else to weigh in. So in the past, in the Discord, we've had just random participants telling us their opinion on the protest, or just having a good old time, really mucking up the water, making it difficult to follow along. And so in the new system, only the person who's protested, the person who submitted the protest, and race control are able to even respond to a protest. So it's very clean. But in terms of the functionality of the system, pretty simple. There's also a protest FAQ right there on the main page that you can look at, and should. Now, a couple of really key important points, though, or maybe the most key important point, is that each team begins the race with 2 protest tokens. In the past, you were able to protest as much and as often as you so desired, and some teams really went to town on that, and other teams didn't protest at all. But the number of teams that protested anything and everything really, like I said, made it difficult to rule efficiently on everything else that was valid. And so now this year you have 2 protest tokens. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you only have 2 protests. You still could potentially have infinite protests. But if you submit a protest, the system will take a token away. So you'll go from 2 tokens to 1. If at the end of the protest process for that particular incident, we rule that, yep, you're correct, we are going to penalize the other team, then we will return the token to you, and you have 2 tokens once again to be used again. If, however, you submit a protest, we don't agree with you, we don't penalize the other team for whatever reason, then you lose the protest token and you're now down to 1. Protest tokens are also used for appeal. So you need to just keep that in the back of your mind that, do we need to save a token just to make sure that we can appeal a decision that goes against us that we think is wrong? But in the same situation, if you are protested, that protest is upheld and you are penalized, you feel like that was the wrong decision and you wish to appeal it, you can. You will lose a token or use a token at that time. And if you give us some more evidence and we look at it and we decide, yep, you're right, we're going to overturn the penalty and not penalize you, then we would return your token at that time. But if we uphold the decision that we made and maintain the penalty, then you lose that token. So bottom line is you get 2 tokens. If you waste them on silly stuff, you'll be out quickly. And anyway, it's a system that's worked well for the last couple of months, very well. We expect it to work well again this weekend, and we're excited for you all to put it through its paces.
So lots of information there, and I'm sure that some of those terms may not be familiar to everybody in the Majors 24 who hasn't run either in the Major Series or in the MEC. As Mike said, there is a guide that you can access from the protest page. There'll also be a blog post going up with lots of pretty pictures for people to look at so that you can see what do the different colours mean, where will the notifications show up on the website, those sorts of things. Of course, if there is any questions around that during the race and putting anything in the Majors 24 general channel, I'm sure that there'll be other teams that will be able to help you. However, don't be DMing competition committee members expecting to get answers from them. We're too busy during the actual race itself. Now, a couple of things, Mike, that we should probably clarify as we're going along. And the first one that I've got here is around team names when it comes to submitting a protest against another team. Because this will be in a drop-down menu and it will be organised by different splits, what are some of the key things that the teams need to know about getting that right?
Yes, great question. When you go to the submit a protest page, there's a few things you have to choose. One is your split. That's the first thing. And that'll dictate which teams in the next drop downs, which is for your team and the team that you are protesting. So you got to pick the right split, number 1. And number 2, your team name in the sim. This applies to everybody. Your team name in the sim needs to match, or at least very closely match, the team name that you have on the website, the one that you've qualified with, so that you can identify yourself and your opponents can identify you if they need to protest you. Not having your team name correct in there is going to be a bad thing. Now, the good news is that let's say you register on the morning of the race and you realize that, oh my gosh, we registered the wrong team, or our team name is not similar enough. The team name in the iRacing UI is not similar enough to the name on the Majors website. The one thing about your team in the Majors website that you will be able to edit throughout the race is your team name. You can't edit your roster, you can't edit your class, can't edit any of that, but you can edit your team name, and you are required to. So we'll send out a reminder of this on race morning as well at the beginning, that if you have registered a team, and again, sometimes people just mess it up and they register the wrong one, but if your team name isn't quite close enough, you can edit the team name on the website, and that'll reflect in the protest system, again, so that you can find yourself and so that your opponents can find you when going to submit a protest. But again, the key critical things there are you get the split right and you get the teams right. There's also a place for the team numbers to help us quantify that even more closely. Yeah.
Especially for teams that have got multiple cars and where you're denoting or where you're differentiating those cars by whether it be a number at the end of the team name or a colour at the end of a team name. It can be really easy for those to be confused if they're in the same split by other competitors. So yeah, it's really key to have the same team name in the server as what teams will be seeing from the Majors website. So yeah, getting those identical will save a lot of hassles and potentially save your teammates getting a penalty that they don't deserve, or you getting one that you don't deserve from your teammates. Okay, so next one. In the MEC this year, we've had time limits in terms of when protests can be put in, where it had to be within an hour of an incident occurring. Will there be any such sorts of time limits for the Majors 24?
Yeah, definitely we'll maintain the same thing. There's no reason for those to go on for hours on end. So absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, don't wait 5 hours to put a protest in, umming and ahhing about whether you want to do it, or waiting until after the next safety car so that you can catch them after that, or whatever it is. Just put it in when it happens. Otherwise, it might time out.
And that's right. And here's the unfortunate truth, because this question is going to get asked by somebody. Well, I'm racing and I don't have any teammates to help me submit a protest. That's unfortunate. That's all I'm going to say. So it's a team event. And if you're racing at a time of the day when you just are slim on your team availability and more than an hour goes by after an incident, that's just unfortunate. Don't submit it. Okay. You'll lose a token. It's a bad deal.
There'll be no system in place to stop you from submitting a protest more than an hour after the incident has occurred. The system isn't quite sophisticated enough to know that. So the onus really is on the teams to know that they have submitted it within the hour. Otherwise, as Mike said, it'll just be rejected and the token will be gone and it won't even be looked at. So yeah, make sure that you get that right. Video links and hosting, as you mentioned before, whether people are putting them on Twitch or YouTube or any other of the streaming services and sending us a link to that's all fine. I'm a bit of a Luddite and I don't really know how to do all of that sort of stuff. And so if I'm taking a video on my phone and I need somewhere to host it, is there somewhere on the Discord that I would be able to put it as a reference and give a link in the protest form?
Yeah, we'll have a protest video link channel specifically dedicated to that, which is perfectly fine. Again, that is not to be confused with submitting a protest. You have not completed the process by submitting a video. That is simply you're going to post it there, and then you're going to link to that post when you submit your protest on the website.
It's also not a channel for any conversations or comments around incidents or other people's things. Any of that will be deleted. Okay, so that covers most of the things that I think need to be known around the protest system. Again, as I said, there's an FAQ and there's a guide that you can access from the protest page. There'll be blog posts around it. Ask any questions beforehand that you need in the Discord. It's a much, much better system than what we've had in previous years. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. It's going to turn things around a lot quicker and there's not going to be any of those really superfluous. I got a slight netcode nudge and I reckon it cost me a third of a second and I want that person to be given a drive-through type protest. So that'll be great. Now, moving on from the protest, what are the things that we did talk about in the previous podcast, but we now have a bit more detail that we can give is around the weather. Now, we did allude last week that there would be at least some of the timeline released or some information around the weather given prior to the race, and that has now happened with some more information by our Majors 24 weather person, Garren. Mike, what can you tell us about the weather or the information around the weather ahead of the race?
I'm not Armin, so I can't really tell you too much, but I'm just going to interpret it the best I can. Now, basically, people are going to read into the forecast what they want to read into it, and that's going to run the gamut, and frankly, I'm okay with that. But honestly, if you've been in the practice sessions, and if you've been in the weather test sessions last week, especially towards the end of the week, you should have a good feel for like what percentage of the race is going to be under wet conditions, because that's probably a formula that we found and are happy with. And to be frank, as we got towards the end of last week and early into this week, the feedback has been very good on what the weather has been like within the sessions. So I'm pleased with how it's going to be. I think Zeus is pleased, even if he wishes it might be a little harsher. But no, we'll have plenty of dry early. We'll have some dry late. You'll have a lot of the rain in the middle, but it won't be persistent and consistent in the whole time. You'll have to be ready for everything. And to be totally honest with you, there's going to be a lot of decision making throughout the middle 18 hours around dry tires, wet tires, dry tires, wet tires. Is the track dry enough? Too wet? That conversation is going to be happening a lot, and that's good in my mind.
Can the first team that accidentally puts half dry and half wet tires on their car please post something in the Majors Discord so that we can all, or A, have a laugh, but B, also share our sympathies for how that lap must have gone. Look, think from what you can read from the forecast, I think people should be fairly comfortable that, you know, if we talk about Zeus in some of the first tests that we did, I think Poseidon made a bit of an appearance, which didn't go very well. And I think everyone can now relax. That's not going to be the case. There's not going to be those instances where the track is completely undrivable. It might get very wet, but I don't think we're going to have those undrivable periods. Yeah, I think it looks really good. From that perspective, you've done a really good job, Mike, of running that fine line of some people wanted no information out there, so it was a bit of a surprise. Some people wanted all of it in advance, many days in advance. So I think this is a great middle ground and should make everybody happy to some degree, which is never easy. So, yeah, I think between the podcast last week and also this one, that covers most things that you all need to know around the Majors 24. As I said last week as well, there's still the frequently asked questions channel. There's the Discord announcements. There's the full rule set. There's plenty of other places for you to get information around it as well. But hey, we're sitting here a couple of days before the race. Over 600 teams. It's going to be double-digit splits. I think it's looking like it's going to be a great success again. Congratulations, Mike, on your 5th Majors 24 and how it's shaping up here at Le Mans. And to everybody out there, good luck. I hope the race goes well. Use your protests and your fast repair wisely, because I think we're all going to need a lot of those. And if all goes well, there's some coins coming your way in the mail in the next few weeks. There'll be no podcast for a month or so after this one. Following the Majors 24, I'm going on a holiday with my family. So it'll be a few weeks before there's another podcast. But once I do get back, we'll definitely do a review of the event and also talk about some of the things that we learned and hopefully talk to some of the winners in the broadcast splits as well. But yeah, thanks for listening today on Inside the Majors. Thanks, Mike, for joining us again. Go and get some sleep before the weekend where you won't.
Where nobody will. No, appreciate it. It's been great.
All right. Yeah. Have good luck, everybody. And in a few weeks' time, hopefully we'll see you again on Inside the Majors.